Next up, we have a very special guest, author of 1962 Liverpool novel of the year, The Spring Everything Died. Helga Tomrenten is here to read an excerpt from her upcoming memoir, It Has Rained Every Day Until Today, and now is hailing.
This is an excerpt from my new book. It has rained every day until today. Now it's hailing. Chapter 4, The Cigarette Case. The year I turned 10 was a lot like the year I turned 9, only worse. At that time, I spent most of my days smoking cigarettes and throwing rocks at other rocks with my brother Al. All I wanted for my birthday was a cigarette case of my very own. At that point, I'd been smoking for 3 years, and all the kids at school teased me and called me Lucy because I always had loose cigarettes in my book bag, and they'd spill out when they tripped me on the sidewalk. Each day I'd come home from school and beg me mum to get a cigarette case. She'd laugh and say, "What? You think you're the daughter of a prime minister? Little Miss Fancy Pants can't smoke a cigarette that's touched the inside of her book bag, just as her mum do and her grandmum did. No, she needs a special cigarette from a fancy case." Despite me mum's mockery, I couldn't stop imagining the same fantasy of myself, of an older, more glamorous me, leaning against a building, smoking cigarettes out of a gold cigarette case of my very own. In the fantasy, a beautiful office assistant with dreamy brown eyes and leather gloves comes up to me and asks to bum a cig. I'd open my handbag and pull out my cigarette case. Her dreamy brown eyes would move from my face to my cigarette case to my face again. I'd give her a cigarette, our hands touching briefly, and move close enough to block the wind as I light it for her. She takes a long drag and exhales the smoke into my face and says, "That cigarette case is lovely." I spent so much of my time thinking about that fantasy, thinking about me and my dreamy brown eyes and a lovely cigarette case. It's what I was dreaming about when I woke up in the morning of my 10th birthday. The greyish morning light seeping into my bedroom and an electric energy coursing through my body. It was an odd morning because there were no sounds of me mum in the kitchen making my favourite birthday meal, tree bark soup. Afraid she overslept, I rushed into her room to wake her. There was nothing she hated more than a wasted morning. She was still in bed, so I crawled up next to her and got close to her face. "Mama said it's 6:45 and there's nothing to eat." She gave no response. I gave her a shake, but that did no better. Al, get in here." I shouted down the hall. My brother came in. "What you want then?" he asked, looking miffed. "Mum's not breathing. I think something's wrong." Al came over and gave Mum a good look. The last girl he dated was the daughter of a doctor, so he knew a lot about diseases and such. She must have contracted fast scarlet fever and died in the night. Many succumbed to fast scarlet fever that year. It's basically regular scarlet fever, but much faster. Hot, steamy tears started streaming down my face. "Now I'll never get my lovely cigarette case," I said between sobs. Al came over and gave me 3 hard shakes. "Quit your blubbering and go to school. This is nothing for you to be dealing with." The girl he dated before the doctor's daughter was the daughter of an undertaker, so he knew how to deal with a body. I did as he told me and went to school. When I got to school, I told everybody my mum had passed from fast scarlet fever, hoping they'd take pity on me, but it only fueled their fire. Ralphie tripped me in front of the whole class, and my cigarettes dumped all over the floor while the kids stood around me laughing and calling me Orphan Lucy. I was so embarrassed I spilled my cigarettes. I left them and ran all the way home. At home, Al made his best attempt at homemade tree bark soup. He did the silly pig impression that usually made me laugh, trying to cheer me up. But that night it did not work. Nothing could lift the rain cloud that had moved over me. "This is the worst birthday ever," I told him, pushing away my tree bark soup. "It's not over yet," Al replied. "I mean, you haven't even opened your present." At the sound of a present, I started to feel the sunshine again. "You got me something?" I asked, amazed that my often inconsiderate brother had remembered to get me anything. "More like made you something," he said, with mischievous in his eye. My heart was burning. Could it possibly be that today, my 10th birthday, and also the day of my mother's death from fast scarlet fever, could also be the day I get my very own cigarette case? I could practically Inside, I could not believe what I saw. It was Mum, standing with one arm in the air. No, wait, it wasn't Mum. It was a replica of Mum, maybe? What is this? I asked, turning to Al. It's Mum, he replied. While you were at school, I taxidermied her body so she could still be with you. Oh, thanks. I tried to conceal my disappointment, but felt the rain cloud reforming above my head. I started to move back toward the kitchen when Al stopped me. Wait, he said. I haven't even shown you the best part yet. I turned back towards taxidermied Mum and watched as Al grabbed the wrist of her elevated arm and pulled it down, which caused her taxidermied mouth to open. It was filled with cigarettes. It's also a cigarette case. I know how badly he wanted one. I ran to my brother, wrapped my arms around him, and said, "Thank you. That cigarette case is lovely."